Tron Ares. This is a spoiler review. I do have a review up on sonofbettermyhead.com. That should be pretty much spoiler free. So if you want to check that out instead of this or before this, that's all on you. And I'm giving this movie a 2.5 out of 5. For a minute, I actually flirted with giving it a 3. Just kind of back and tracking myself. I think I've been a little lowballing movies this year. So if I gave this a 3, that would make other movies that I gave a 3 look on par with this, which is not. And it's really not that great of a movie. I end up having a fun ride with this. Like, by the time I get to like the third act, I'm like, I'm having fun with this, and I'm entertained visually and the music and everything. What's happening on screen, I'm like, all right, this is fun. The first part of the movie is just so. It's a very loose sequel to the original Tron. It doesn't ignore Tron Legacy, but it just kind of has no importance to what's happening in this movie. Like a couple things are referenced, but for the most part, it's more or less just a standalone movie. I think a lot of people are complaining that it's not a true sequel to Tron Legacy, which is fine, but it's more or less its own story. It's kind of based on one concept from that movie, but it's more or less its own story. And for some reason, people are mad about that. I wasn't blown away by Tron Legacy. I liked it overall, but I wasn't like, this movie's great. I'm like, all right, it was okay. I forgot most of it. It wasn't a memorable movie to me, so I didn't care that they weren't following it up. So I'm not knocking anything for that. The plot's kind of simple, but it's a little more convoluted than it needs to be in portions, and it's paced kind of wackily. Essentially it becomes like a chase movie. You get two rival firms trying to find this permanence code. It's supposed to be the way you could bring stuff from the digital world to the real world and have it permanent instead of disintegrating after like 29 minutes. And once the good guy firm gets the code, she's basically on the run from the bad guys for like the final, like I said, basically the final act of the film, maybe even the middle act. There's a very loose similarity to Terminator 2 in a way, where the main character's on the run and there's evil machines trying to get her, and she's being protected by a evil machine that actually got a little bit of a conscience, is kind of turning good, and he doesn't really quite understand the nuances of being human. So this kind of got that vibe to it, but it just obviously nowhere near as good as T2. It just doesn't flow as well. Like, early on, there's a light cycle chase in the real world, which just looks cool, especially the overhead shots. It looks amazing, seeing the trails coming behind them. I don't know why they left the trails on, besides just said it looked cool. At first it looked like it was a defensive maneuver or offensive maneuver to stop some cops. But then they just kept doing it, and it just, like I said, it looked cool. I don't know why they did it, but that's a nitpick. And then that goes into the digital world, which you would think it was going to spend more time there, but it really doesn't. They pretty much immediately like jump on a thing and escape, and then you're back in the real world again. And the digital world looked okay. I wasn't that disappointed that we didn't spend more time there. It just looked like, I don't know, nothing stood out about the digital world. Like, there was like a little more flavor in Tron Legacy. Like, they had clubs and they try to flesh it out a little bit. And the original Tron, it just has this quaintness where it just kind of felt like, with the low tech as computers were back in the 80s, it kind of felt like, that's how it really would look if you could go into a computer, like just half-assed basically. And at the time it made sense, and there was a quaintness to it. And this new one's just like, it looks all right. I mean, it looks well designed, but it's nothing. I didn't really want to spend that much time there, to be honest. So that was cool, them dipping back out. And then I said, it just again leads to like another big chase sequence, more or less. And that's about it. Any deeper meanings, like the meaning of life and what it means to be sentient and AI versus becoming real, it's really just glossed over. And I mean, occasionally they set up like it's like a deeper thing, but they just never get into it. And again, it's not something Terminator 2 did either. They didn't sit there like, what's it like for a machine that want to be alive? But I felt like this movie needed that more than Terminator 2 did. This movie wanted to kind of stand up a little bit and be something different. Character-wise, you got Jared Leto as the lead. I kind of mentioned the gist of his character. It he works at first. His character's supposed to be a little awkward because he's a computer program that doesn't know much about the real world. He downloads the head of ecom's file, and he learns like a lot about her life. So that's his first glimpse into humanity. But other than that, he's just like shouldn't know much more than he's programmed with. But he seems like for some reason he does. Like he seems to know a lot about the '80s. He really likes the Depeche Mode. Like I don't know when he picked up this knowledge. Did he see something in Eve's file that she really liked the '80s, or he saw a lot of stuff that happened in the '80s that he picked up on? Like it was a weird thing that he suddenly like migrates towards the '80s. Because I don't know where this information comes from. He's programmed to be a security program to protect his computer's network and then attack other ones if necessary. I don't know where his humanity came from. It was, if you want to write up as a glitch, it's fine. But I don't know. It's just for some reason he just out of the blue decided he wanted to be like his own thing, and he liked the '80s. But anyways, he's fine in the beginning when he's a little awkward. But as he goes on, he's supposed to be finding that humanity, and then you're really supposed to be kind of getting behind him. He's still just flat, and I just don't care about him. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, cool. He's a good guy. I want to see him get what he wants and be permanent. That's fine. But I just didn't really care. And again, with Eve, on a surface level, I like her story. She somehow became head of econ with her sister. We find out that her sister died, so she's trying to kind of represent her sister's legacy and do something good with her life, besides just making video games, which is cool, but it's kind of glossed over, and they do it in a way you just don't care. Like it should be this journey for her. She's bringing her dying sister's like wish to fruition, and you just don't care. It's like, okay, I'm glad she did it, but they didn't make me care about it, and it didn't make me care about her as much as they could have. Like I said, I was worried that she was in danger. I wanted to see her make it to the end, but I just didn't care about her. The only character that really had a kind of spark to him was Dillinger, who was played by Evan Peters, and it's just Evan Peters. Evan Peters is a good actor, and you can tell he's putting a little effort into this character to make him a touch before just like a touch above generic. It's a lot of plot contrivances that don't work for me. Like it starts off on the Dillinger is just so reckless. Like, all right, I'm gonna hack this computer, and first it's like even his mom says something. You cannot get caught doing this. You can't be caught hacking their computer. Like he does it, and he basically says, "Screw you! I don't care if they catch me." And then he starts bringing this tech from the digital world to the real world and unleashing it to catch Eve, and there's barely any like repercussions from it. Like the cops takes to the end of the movie from the finally say, "Oh, it was this guy. Let's go get him." And like I said, it just keeps. Eventually, I understand the point where it's out of his hands, and Athena basically is like, "No, I'm catching Eve, and nobody's stopping me." And then she starts bringing all this more hardware into the world. That part makes sense, but this fact that he was reckless, I don't know, just didn't. Felt like it couldn't happen in the real world, even though it could. It kind of took me out. I was like, all right, this is getting almost cartoony. Like this doesn't feel like something a real CEO would do. I don't know if Elon Musk would like bring stuff out of the digital world and have them attack his enemies like it was no big deal. And even if he did, he's like one of the richest men in the world. He's not part of he's not a part of some other tech company like this Dillinger is. Action-wise, action's pretty good. Like I said, it looks great. Like I said, all that light stuff looks really cool, but it's not as much action as I would have liked. Also, especially because we're told that Ares is like the most badass warrior that there is. He's been programmed to be like unstoppable, and we don't get to see much of that. He fights a little bit in the beginning. He can't take down a human woman on a motorcycle, and then later on another light cycle. Like they're evenly matched, even though he's supposed to be like the most badass computer program ever. Like I said. And he gets a little fight scene at the end where at first he's kind of losing, and then he has to, come back and beat him. Like this guy's supposed to be like the John Wick, the internet kind of, and he never felt that going later into the movie. So yeah, there really wasn't the only really good standout action sequence was kind of the end when they were basically invading the city looking for Eve, and those fighter jets fighting the Tron tech, and they're shooting all kinds of stuff. It just looked amazing. All the little missiles, I think they look like missiles, but I think they're actually some kind of a probe, like they call them earlier. You know, they leave those light trails behind them, which are solid, which has some interesting interaction with the jets and all that. Anyway, that scene looked cool, but they said it wasn't awesome action, just looked cool, which is a lot of what happened in this movie. Soundtrack, I liked it. Nine Inch Nails did some really cool stuff, but what I didn't like, it works when you're in this digital world. It's kind of, they got this industrial kind of music. They're using a lot of synthetic stuff, so it feels perfect when you're in the digital world. But then they cut to like Antarctica or somewhere in the Arctic where they in the real world, and they're still using the soundtrack. It just kind of, I don't know, it kind of takes me out of it. This feels like unnecessary. It feels like it's kind of hits you in the head. Like, it seems like it should have been a different score there, or no score at all when you're in that part of the real world, because it's, I don't know, it's the real world, and then the other stuff worked good for the the computer world. Now later on, when the Tron world is invading our world, and they're still using the soundtrack, then I think it still works because it's this computer stuff going on. So I was gonna say I think the redesigns all look good for the light cycles and all that stuff. I have no idea how the physics would work on them. They get brought into the real world, but I don't think that's something you're supposed to worry about. But anyway, I think they looked cool. But again, there was a certain charm to this original Tron stuff, and this stuff looks like it couldn't quite exist in our real world. It looks like it wouldn't work in our real world. Like there's taking some shortcuts to make it work that you can't really do. But other than that, it doesn't look like something that was pulled out of a computer. It looks like something that was designed by somebody, and it works in the computer world, and it shouldn't work in ours. But it's like I said, it doesn't look alien enough. It looks like someone saw the Tron stuff in the game, and then they tried to see, oh, this looks like in the real world, and it doesn't look like it was something that was pulled from a computer. If that makes any sense. And I don't know if there's much else I wanted to go on about this movie. It wasn't, like I said, it got okay. It was beginning, took a minute to get into it. The things picked up. It was the chase movie stuff going on, so that was working for me. I thought the sequence where Ares ends up meeting Jeff Bridges' character, Flynn, it wasn't nothing. It didn't really add or subtract anything in the movie. I know some people say it was a glorified cameo, and I guess it kind of was. It didn't add anything to the movie to me. It's just like, it's not doing anything for me. I didn't mind them going to the old school Tron grid. That was fine, but Jeff Bridges didn't. I don't think he added anything, and it kind of took away from the intensity of the final sequence of them trying to avoid being captured and all that stuff, and the bad guys are coming. But I said, by the end, I was having a good time for the most part. Like, I'm watching, the cars get blown up, and jets getting blown up, and then the soundtrack's clicking and working pretty good. Thought the mid-credit scene was a little cheesy. Didn't care enough about Dillinger's character to see him continue on as the bad guy. I'm like, all right, you know what? I've had enough of this guy. Hopefully, he gets arrested and then he escapes. Now he's in the grid and he's going to be the new big bad if they continue this story. But I guess that's it. Like I said, I have the spoiler-free version of this review up. I have other movie reviews up. I got TV show reviews up. If you ever want to catch stuff early, I put spoiler-free reviews of stuff up on there first, and then usually the next day you'll see a spoiler review like this one. And you can also see my comic strips. I do those a couple days a week. It's out of bettermyhead.com, so if you want to check any of that stuff out, that's awesome. And other than that, thanks for watching.